Hey everyone! This time on Tim Talks Audio, compression before EQ or EQ before compression? Recently, there's been a lot of talk on a number of Facebook groups concerning just this. Should you put a compressor before or after an EQ? Today, we're going to take a look at the pros and cons of doing either because the correct answer is there is no correct answer. You put the compressor before or after the EQ to get you the sound you're looking for. A few minutes ago, I quickly recorded an acoustic guitar part. The signal chain was an AKG 414 microphone into my Universal Apollo Twin and just straight in XLR jack. I didn't put on any mic pre-emulations. There was no compression going in. It's straight microphone to interface, interface to record. And this is what I came up with. Just a quick little thing. Let's dive in and see the pros and cons of putting the compressor before or after the EQ. I've loaded up an instance of the Fat channel on my acoustic guitar, and currently, and in its default, the compressor comes before the equalizer. Also, while in default, everything is bypassed except the entirety of the plugin. You can see that here because the power lights for each instance is off, meaning nothing in the plugin is active. I'll go ahead and put the Fat channel into bypass, and then I'll engage it, and we'll slowly bring in the compressor and the EQ. Now we're bypassed. Let's take a listen to this acoustic guitar. And you get the idea. Let's put the Fat channel back in, and we'll throw our compressor in. I already went ahead and made some settings that I thought sounded pretty good for this acoustic guitar. Let's turn the compressor on and take a listen. So there's our acoustic guitar with the compressor on. Because I perform this a little dynamically, you can hear it squeezing a little harder at parts. But honestly, that's okay. We'll leave our compressor on, and we'll engage our EQ about halfway through, and we can hear what it's doing. And if you want to see, this is what I've done. Just little fixes here and there. Couple little ringing notes that I didn't like, I took them out. I added a little bit of mid presence and some top end, just to make it shine a little more. But really, let's figure out what we like better, the compressor before the EQ or the EQ before the compressor. In Fat channel, it's actually really easy because you have this button right here. This button will swap the locations of the EQ and compressor just by clicking on it. Now you can see the EQ is first and then the compressor. And if we hit it again, compressor before EQ. So this will give us actually a very good reference of what we like better, compressor before EQ or compressor after EQ. Let's play through and I'll swap the EQ to different positions. So there were some tonal changes that happened when we swapped the position of the EQ and the compressor against each other. When the compressor was first, you could hear it clamping harder because of the lower notes had more power and oomph in this recording. So it would trigger the compressor to react that much faster. Then after the compressor was the EQ settings that I used to bring up some of that top end and get rid of some of those notes that were ringing out a bit. And some of those notes that were ringing out a bit might have been accentuated from the compression happening. When we put the EQ first, we're taking away some of the ring and some of the low ends that will have more power going into the compressor. So it's more of a balanced signal getting compressed. What we could also have done is engaged the key filter on our compressor to actually roll off the low end so that the compressor isn't reacting from some of the lower notes on the guitar. If you want to know more about this, I described it in a previous video when I talked about compression, and I'll put a link to that one. Let's adjust that a little and see what we can come up with. So as you can see, if you put the EQ before the compressor or the compressor before the EQ, you get little variations in how each react. More so, it's how the compressor is reacting to the source signal. Using an EQ before a compressor is a good way to take out ringing frequencies and maybe some extra low ends so that the compressor doesn't get triggered by those extra frequencies. You can also purposely accentuate some frequencies to make the compressor react to those frequencies or to a more balanced frequency spectrum. If you have a compressor before an EQ, there's a chance that the compressor will react to frequencies that make it clamp down a little harder. As we saw earlier in the video, there was some extra low end in the acoustic guitar that made the compressor squeeze a little bit harder. This will sometimes cause a pumping effect that you may not want. Then having the EQ after the compressor, you can make up for what was lost by adding some extra air or some extra presence. A good signal chain to start with is subtractive EQ before a compressor and then additive coloring EQ after the compressor. But that might not be the right signal chain for you and your recording. It really is an experiment. You have to find out what your mix needs and approach your signal chain that way, and not just by the textbook. That's all for now. I hope you enjoy this new format and this video. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. And if you have a question, please leave it in a comment and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.